Hello there guys, and welcome back to Assault Squad 2, or should I say Men of War Assault Squad 2 obviously. And today I'm going to show you how I think a decent opening strat works in Men of War Assault Squad 2. Now obviously this is a giant disclaimer. I'm not a pro player, I'm not superb at the game, I'm just an average, maybe a little bit above average player. This is the way how I play. People have always been asking me, Sherman, can you just make a video on how you play? And I mean, so many people asked it that I just had to make one. I actually tried to make one of this, pardon me. I tried to make one of these instructional or almost like tutorial videos long ago, but it got deleted off my hard disk for some reason, and I never got around to making another one. Today, it's a moment. We're gonna do another one. I'm gonna show you first of all. This is the multiplayer lobby. You just click on new game or create game, and in this case I'm going to go with the workshop map, so you can just double click it, or you could click on create over there. And now we're in the multiplayer screen. For this tutorial I'm just going to play by myself, and I'm going to join team number 1, or in this case team USA. All you want to do to set up the perfect fair online game is click on this and make sure you disable lock units by level. This way, people with higher in-game levels don't have an advantage over people who've never played before, which I do still see people abusing. I've seen people being at level 20, able to buy King Tigers, go up against people that can only buy like Sherman 76s and nothing higher. So you need to make sure that this thing doesn't really matter anymore. Just always disable lock units by level. And yeah, that's basically it. You know, you can change this to whatever you want. It doesn't really matter. If I were you and you want the most fair and most, competitive style of match, keep all the options the same. In this case, I'm going to play as the Germans and I'll play against the Americans, which doesn't really matter because there's no one on the enemy team. So I'm going to load the map in, and I'll see you guys in a few seconds. Alright, so we're back. Obviously, the preparation timer is counting down. And I'm starting on the good side, which is interesting. What I always do, especially on smaller maps, I take assault infantry, and I'm gonna have to pause here for a second. So, since this actually is a 2v2 map, as you've seen, it's a 2v2 map, but Assault Squad 2 actually has an interesting feature where the number of points on a map is determined by by the number of players in the game. Now, it thinks it's a 1v1, so it only has 3 points on the map, but if it was a 2v2, so there was 2 more people in the enemy team, or it was like a 2v1 or whatever, there would be 1 capture point right here, and 1 here. Keep that in mind, somewhere over here, sorry. Keep that in mind that there's 1 over here, and 1 over here, that you cannot see right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to act like there is a capture point right here. First, what you do, obviously I'm going to do it pause so I can tell you what I'm going to do. Assault squads come with 1, 2, 3, 4 guys with SMGs, 3 guys with normal rifles, and 1 guy, well in this case, for the Germans anyway, comes with a special assault SMG, which is the MP44 or Sturmgewehr 44 or whatever you want to call it. Which is actually a way better weapon than the MP40. But then again, let's not talk about that. So you get 4 guys with SMGs, 3 guys with rifles, and 1 guy with, in this case it's the Germans as I said, and little like an SMG plus. We'll just call it like 5 guys with SMGs and 3 with rifles. So what we can do now is rifle guys usually can have sandbags. So you want to have the infantry with rifles set up sandbags over here, which I'll demonstrate in a second, and you want most of your SMG guys who don't really have anything to do over here because SMGs, close range, they need a lot of bullets to actually down someone, and at longer ranges their accuracy is just horrible, so there's no point in putting them here. There's no point in putting them here if they're way better off here. Like you're putting in 1 guy, you put in 1 there. I'll just show you. I'll just show you because I'm gonna have to do a lot of stuff at the same time here. So another thing you want to keep in mind, and it's something I really do like, is if you buy a assault squad, you don't get a machine gunner. The machine gunner, especially for the early attack, can be very useful. Now, if you're playing with two people, I don't want to make too much about the map, but if you're playing with two people and you know the other person, on the workshop map, what I like to do is keep, as you know, this point is closer to the enemy than this point. What I personally do is I put like a machine gun behind a sandbag over here and tell my buddy, or my buddy puts up his machine gun over here, or even pushes into the middle to push the enemy back further. But you'll see that in a second. So right now I'm going to unpause it, and we're going to try and get as many of these SMG guys into... Obviously, I haven't played this game in a while, which now shows. So I'm trying to get the rifle guys over here and the SMG guys, except for one in the middle. I'm not going to do it as fast as I would do in a normal game. The reason that I'm putting one SMG guy here is not because I don't follow my own advice, but it's because I want to make sure nobody is going to fuck around and sit in an armored car, like a very early armored car, and I cannot counter it because I won't have any AT protection. So right now, I just make a very rapid wall of sandbags. I put my SMG guys behind cover, and whereas I put my squad leader behind the furthest one away, so he dies. He has the least risk of dying. Now, I should have bought an MG gunner when the points were there. But now I bought one, and I buy an extra SMG and an extra rifleman, just because I want to do that. I built this guy, I'll have a rifleman build a sandbag over there, SMG sit over here, machine gunner sit over here. Now, SMG guy can sit somewhere over here, because you need to protect his flank as well. You wanna make sure you keep this protected. And now, this is another interesting thing. I get an AT rifle, which depends on what the enemy brings up. This is already getting pretty strategy intensive. This is like the standard build that I like to use. But right now, this is only useful when the enemy is gonna bring up a lighter stuff. Especially useful against Japan with their almost non-armored stuff. Another thing you want to do is make sure the AT rifle guy is on hold fire. For example, in the bushes in the middle. So now he can respond to both threats on the left and in the middle in a few seconds. And the guy with the AT rifle support will if he dies, his name will his AT rifle name will show up in the top left. It will indicate to the enemy players that you actually have an AT rifle somewhere. So they might be less reluctant. They might be less looking forward to buying actual vehicles, which seems good in the long run. But you didn't waste 60 manpower on an AT rifle, so what I always think is I want to keep this guy somewhere behind the sandbags, behind here, or maybe even send him over to my friend's flank, just so he doesn't die all too soon and the enemy doesn't realize I bought an AT rifle, if that makes sense. So now we have discussed the main strategy for how I would capture a flank. Obviously, you could now start getting. You could almost get a veteran sniper or a Goliath, kind of depends on the map, obviously. You could start getting a Flak 38, especially on this map, a AA gun or a auto cannon is really good in the middle of the map. You could look to getting a Panzer III. It all depends on what your teammate's doing, if you're in control of the middle. But this is basically the standard build I would suggest. Make sure you space these guys out. So right now, especially the guys in the middle, one grenade cannot take all of these guys out at once. I put them this way that it's actually almost impossible to take out more than one guy with one grenade, thus costing the enemy more time to dislodge you from the middle. If they're going to bring up let's say an elite squad, they want to dislodge you from the middle, but they're going to have to spend a lot of time with grenades. You either have time to throw back your own grenades, which will kill them or make them lose people, but also means you can quickly, bring up, I don't know, let's say you can bring up a 222 in the middle, very quickly to deal with the incoming assault, which then means that you have delayed them long enough to keep the middle and fight on to, defend it another day. So that's something that you definitely want to space out infantry to make sure you keep them alive as long as possible, whether it's for delaying or actually just for winning the game. There's a lot of reasons, but just space them out as much as possible. So that is the standard build, variant of how I think, a decent, okay build is. Start with Assault Squad, get a machine gunner, start an Assault Squad, get a machine gunner, get an extra rifleman and an extra SMG guy, and get an AT rifle squad. Then you are pretty well set for the initial attack, or sometimes in this case, as luck would have it, if we have the middle, the defense. Don't forget, there is still a flag here and a flag over here, which you don't see because it's a one-on-one on a 2v2 map, another 2v2 on a 2v2 map. So that's why there's only 3 flags and not 5. Some people have already asked me, how to throw grenades. Now, I'm not really sure if I should actually be showing you this, but just for the sake of this, let's do it. So let's say that, let's keep my guys back here. This guy can go out. This is, of course, this is just like friendly. These are like paintball grenades, okay? So imagine this guy here is an American soldier or a Russian soldier or whatever, and you want to kill him. Now, there's a lot the SG-44 can do, but it cannot shoot through a door. They have not invented a gun. They didn't invent a gun that could shoot through like 20 centimeters, I want to say, like thick metal. Looks like metal, so they didn't really invent those. So what we're talking here is there's 2 ways to dislodge him, and I'm gonna call on a Volksturm just to show, and it's going to be the following. I'm not sure people were to say, oh my god, Sherman, I already know this. Oh my god, don't be, we're not noobs. Okay, I'm sorry, but people have asked me to show this. So there's 2 ways to get out of him. Let's say there's like a few guys here, and you want to quickly take out this guy with a grenade so you can move on. So we can do, obviously, we could lob it behind him. Which, there we go, by holding the left mouse button and pressing E, kills him. Now, obviously, that went a little bit too quick, so we'll get another guy there. It's going to be so bad. I almost feel bad doing this with my own guys, but, alright. So now, to do that again, what you do, you either press F1, which is the hotkey to the AP grenade. You see it lights up in red, or you can just click this. But I prefer pressing F1 because it is quicker, in my opinion. You press F1. So if you press F1, he selects your grenade. You can then either left click it, which is bad because the target in this case was a dumbass and tried to pick up the grenade and failed. But usually they are actually, especially the better trained infantry, are a lot better at doing that. And you will not fool them with a grenade that's not cooked. So, again, we'll get the guy behind the cover. Press F1. Now this time we're going to press E once, which is the direct control. So now we're in direct control. You can, like, let your guys... We can make him dance. But that's not what we're here for. Now, you want to kill the guy behind the wall. And to make it even harder on ourselves, we're going to put this guy right here. And with a gun, he would never be able to take out the guy behind the door. Now, but with a grenade, we're going to now hold... I'm going to disable the map. We're going to hold left click. And you'll see a little timer in the middle of... You see where the red mark is right now? You see a little grenade and a little, like, clock ticking down very in, like, parts. And that's the grenade timer. I'll show it right now. You can see that it's clicking down. I'm going to throw it before it explodes. But you can see it counting down. Like, it was like a little on the edge of the... I'll show it once more. You can see it right here. It's like a red cross that's like counting down pretty rapidly in the end there. That is the fuse on a grenade. So basically what happens, you pull the fuse, or the plug, or whatever you want to call it, and it just sets the activation timer. If you can manage this correctly, you can blow it in the air, which means the shrapnel will go everywhere and even have a longer range, do more damage, and means the enemy has almost no time to escape. So let's try this. See, it takes a lot of practice to get that right. He still had about a second to run away when it landed, which means a very good player that's paying attention to his infantry will see you keeping the, because there's a big difference. Look at this. You can always notice as a veteran player, you'll see someone grabbing a grenade. So we're going to try that again. That one is way better. He almost, the last time it landed, he had about a second left to react. Now it was pretty much there when, you know, it was about to explode. It had like 0.3 left or 0.2 left. We're gonna try that again. Once more to show you. It's luck more than anything. See, that was pretty close. Usually that's more than enough. Like, as long as you just don't press F1 and throw them randomly, then it's okay. I'm just gonna know one of these squads. Sacrificial lambs. Once more. See if we can get it a little bit better. I don't think we can get it better. Oh, that's not bad. Okay, see, that was a little bit too long. It exploded in midair, which would have done a lot of damage to infantry, which was around it, wasn't it, for the fact that there's a 20 centimeter like fat iron or well metal door shooting the guy. Now there's another thing we can do, which is I'm a bigger fan of, which is AT grenading. AT grenades explode on impact, and there's no timer for them. So if you want to get rid of someone quickly, throw the AT grenade. Now, the AT grenade is very powerful and obviously meant to take out tanks, so it will blast through a 20 centimeter thick door. But the better thing is to use this is actually this way, is because this not always works. The better way is just to aim it like right next to him, and the guy almost has no time to react. The explosion might not be as good as that of an actual grenade. I'll try to show the impact here. Let's see. This is an AT grenade in the middle of like 5 guys. I managed to kill 6 of them with that grenade. AT grenades are very powerful, but they lack the capability to go into shrapnels or to explode in midair, sorry, as normal AP grenades do. So what we're going to do now is we're going to actually call all these guys here. And this guy. We're going to try and get as many guys as close as possible. Just to show you what happens if I were to throw this with a nice effective shrapnel in here. See? That was a perfect shrapnel grenade. The reason... Sorry for this massacre, by the way. But you can see that in an AT grenade, it never would have killed the people standing so far away. But because of the shrapnel, and I must say I've never thrown a grenade that perfectly. The perfect grenade execution, where it was maybe a meter from the ground, it exploded in every direction, just throwing hot shrapnel into everyone's faces, and basically killing them outright. Now, that is the grenade basics, and there's a lot of stuff you can do: smoke grenades, ammo grenades. All of those really don't kill any people, I suppose. There's no flashbangs, sadly enough, in World War II. But I guess that's mainly like my basic tutorial for a very basic beginner. Please do make sure to comment what you'd like to see me do next. I don't really have an idea because I don't really know what to show you, honestly. I hope this was okay. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope it was informative. Again, disclaimer, I'm not the best player. Don't claim to be the best player. People just asked me to show them some stuff, and that's what I did. Especially my initial build and some grenades, I guess, people still ask me to do tutorials, but tell me what you'd like to see, and maybe I'll pick yours for the next episode. Anyway, as always, again, hope you enjoyed. Make sure to stay awesome, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao!
This love that you never started, you once destroyed a broken heart that was already shattered. Holding on to what we have, you take us to the edge.